Hello guys, this video I'm going to discuss countif as function and pivot table, and I'm going to again, this is one more video on cross tabulation, but this time I'm going to use three variables in cross tab. How to make a little complicated cross tab, that is what I'm going to discuss right here. So I'll be using countif as function first of all, and then I'll be using pivot table, and then I'll show you how to do this. So first of all, I will show you, I have already prepared some format. This is the format in which I'm going to use my countif as function. Before moving into countif as function, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you how to name the columns so that you can save your several steps. So there are three variables. One is gender, there is education, there is residential status of the people in which area they're living in. And this whole data set consists of 300 entries. So what we can do is, either every time we have to select range, we need to select the whole data range, so we can name the columns, and that could be absolutely quick. So I'm going to select this, how to do that. Okay, that is exactly what I'm going to do. So you need to bring your cursor. There are three different types of cursors in Excel. One is this, which selects the cell. Other is I would say, let me figure it out. Okay, this is the one which moves the cell. If you drag, then it is going to move the whole cell any place. And this is a fill handle, which actually fills the cells. And there is the fourth type, which selects the whole column or whole row. So you need to figure out this selector, the column selector, black drop down arrow. So you're going to select this whole gender column and start typing in name box GENDER and hit enter. And you can cross check, you can put your cursor anywhere, you can check it from drop down, select gender, and it immediately takes the whole particular column. So same way I'm going to name education. Let me name it EDU, and I'm also going to name resident. Let me name it RES, and let me check it, drop down, all three texts are created. So this is going to save me several steps. And okay, so like what is the format of the table? In this cell I want to calculate how many people living in north, which are male and they are undergraduates. So this is the order which you need to remember. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my countif as tool, so I can use my arrow keys to go to the function and press tab key. It immediately highlights the entire cell. So I always love to work with the formula bar. Of course, I've told you earlier. Why? Because it's always safer to work over here. So first thing, it asks me for criteria range 1. So I just want to, my first criteria is I want to figure out how many people are living in the first region, which is north in my case. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it the criteria range. I can use my F3 key, and you remember where my residential address is, it is in RES. So F3, if you press, it is going to pop out and all the lists which you have created. Now what exactly is my criteria? My criteria is north, which is right here in this cell, and it is not getting highlighted because the formula is getting it. So I'll manually type it as F and 4. So I'm going to type in F4. Now it asks me for criteria range 2. Now I want to see that how many males are living in, and I know my list of gender is here in column A. If you remember the name, you can manually type in what name you have given. I've given it GENDER. So I start typing, a yellow envelope appears, and GENDER. So you can press your tab key, or you can double click the list name. It is going to highlight in the particular cell. Now which gender I want to count in this particular cell? Male, right? And the third criteria, I want to see in these males how many undergraduates are there. So it is going to ask me criteria range 3, which is exactly my education. I have given the name EDU, but you can use your F3 key to reduce the probability of error, and you select EDU, and right after you select EDU, you want to calculate undergraduate in this particular cell. Now the important thing, if you see, my all regions are in column F. So doesn't matter where the cursor moves, where I want to calculate anything in this whole table. If I'm counting region, then I don't want to shift my column from F anywhere. So I'm going to lock my column. I can manually type in $, or I can select and I can keep on pressing my F4 key 3 times, and then this particular column will be locked. Now in gender, for this particular area in the table, I just want to calculate male. So I just want to keep my gender cell fixed. I'm going to select this whole, and I'm going to press my F4 key, which is going to lock my row as well as column. When it comes to education, if you see, my education is always in row 3. It is never changing. You see, every time but the column is shifting. That means moment the formula move to this particular cell, it must see graduate, not undergraduate. So I want to shift my column, not the row. So since I want to shift the column, not the row, so row I want to keep fixed and column I want to keep floating. So column I'll leave open. The row I'm going to fix by locking it, and what I can do is I can freeze it by using my F4 key. I press it once, both the things are locked. I press it twice, the row is locked and my job is done. And I hit my return key. It immediately gives me count 5. Time to select and drag it to right and drag it down. So it counts all the details for me. Now I want to see the total here, the row total, and I want to calculate the column total. So I can select the whole table, one row extra, one column extra, and I can use my keyboard shortcut Alt equals. This is immediately going to count me the total males in the data set. How many living in north region, how many are in east, how many are in west, how many are in south, how many are in central, and how many are undergraduates, how many are graduates, postgraduates and above. Now same formula I'm going to repeat here, but this time I'm going to save you again certain steps. So what first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select this whole formula, Control C, and I'm going to hit my enter. So now it is exactly in my copying command. Now I'm going to select this whole table at once, and I'm not going to click anywhere. I'll just say Control V. The formula exactly, okay, it is going to get pasted in first particular cell. So what you can do is, like, if you see, the formula is right there in this particular cell, highlighted already. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make certain changes. Of course I don't want to count male. Now this time I want to count female in this particular portion of the table. So I'm going to remove this G2 and I'm going to select this female cell here, and I'm going to again use my F4 key to freeze it. Then there is this education. So this time I'm going to calculate from here UG, graduate and PG and above. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, instead of G3 I'm going to use carefully K3, and I want to freeze my row. I want to keep the column floating while my reasons remain same. So since I have selected our entire portion of the table once, I can use my Control Enter key and it gives me the count of all females in one shot. So it saves you several steps. You don't have to drag anything to right or down. And again, I want to calculate total, select all cells, one row extra, one column extra, use a keyboard shortcut Alt equals, and it gives you the entire total. 187 females are there. Let me centralize it. So that's the COUNTIF as function for you. This is dynamic, and how it is dynamic, let's see, I increase north by 1, then you just witness this particular total. Let me highlight these particular cells with some color. Okay, this 21 and this 42. So if I'm going to increase this north by 1, and since I'm going to increase it to female region, then female north should increase by 1. Look, it increases by 1, right? So this is quite dynamic in nature. Now quickly I'm going to discuss the pivot table to make such a cross step once again. And in order to do that, what you have to do is, in Excel 2007 and above, you can use your Alt N V key as to invoke the pivot table, else you have to use Alt N V T. So I'm going to use Alt N V. It immediately pops up and takes the whole range of the table in one shot. I'm going to dump my pivot table right here, like I discussed before, and let me give it a location right under this particular table, and I click OK. So I have this crafting pane right here, so I just want to first of all, in row I want to keep residence, so I drag and drop it to resident, and then in column, first thing I want to create variables of gender, and second I want to create is of education, and then I want to count any of them. I can drag and drop, and look, immediately the pivot table pops up. Now this table is not dynamic, this is quite static in nature. Every time I have to, if I'm changing some data, I have to update it. Let's say I'm changing north. This table is dynamic, but this requires a refresh. Then only it will update. So that's the difference between pivot table and I would say COUNTIF as table. Another thing is that pivot table actually creates a bigger file size, while these COUNTIF as tables create a smaller file size when they are pasted to a Word file. So if your document have lots of pivot tables or lots of tables, then suddenly your file size goes absolutely big. Both these tables are absolutely pastable anywhere. You can select them, Control C, you can copy them, you can go to a Word document, you can paste it, and we fit it to window size, right click, auto fit to window. Same way I can paste in pivot table. So I can select this whole table, Control C, go here, I can paste it, and I can fit it to auto fit to window. So this totally is your choice, what kind of table you want to create, what you want to paste. I always prefer formula tables, though they take a little effort, but they are absolutely your choice, in fact. So you have written those tables, so they are absolutely your choice. They are highly dynamic, you can make the changes easily, so the choice is yours, right? So that is all for this particular video. The advanced tabs, and these tables of course are available with filters. Pivot table, they also have facility. I can remove the zones which I don't want, and I can click OK, and I can further paste it, right? So like the two zones are gone. So filters are available with each particular variable. So this is an advanced video on crosstab. Please subscribe my channel and leave your comments. Thank you.